Hello everyone, this video will show you how to sew a Hmoob Txaij. It is the third part in our women's Hmoob Txaij pattern video installments. If you'd like to order a pattern, you can click on the drop down arrow and purchase from the link below. There are three pattern pieces to the Hmoob Txaij. We're going to start with the biggest piece here. Fold your fabric over so that there's a fold on the fabric. And then you want to line up the fold edge of the pattern with that folded part of the fabric. Pin everything down and cut out this big large piece. Once you have this piece cut out, it'll open up into one big rectangle like this. Next, we're going to take the smallest pattern piece and cut it out. I'm just using a scrap piece of fabric here because there's plenty to use for just this little piece here that we need for the bottom of the txaij. The last piece we're going to cut out is going to be on blue fabric, and this is for the center txaij. So it's just a long skinny piece. So we're going to pin it all down and cut this piece out as well. Once we're done cutting, you should have three pieces: the big black rectangle, the long blue strip, and the small black rectangle. We're going to start by sewing the small black rectangle to the blue strip, and we're just going to pin them together at the very bottom of the blue strip and then sew them together using a 1/2 inch seam. Once sewn together, we're going to now iron the seam flat between the blue and the black piece. And now that's one long piece. Now that we have this one long piece, we're going to connect it to our big black rectangle. And we're going to connect the long edges of the big rectangle to the long edges of the black and blue strip. So we're going to do that to both sides. So you can see me pinning here one side first, and then I'm going to turn it around and pull it over and pin the other long side together. Once everything is all pinned down, we're going to sew both edges at the same time so that we only have to pin once and then we can sew all together at the machine. So I've sewn the edges all together, and now I get a tube of fabric. You can see the blue here's in the center. We're going to flip it inside out so that we can now iron the seams nice and flat. And I like to make sure that the fabric on the inside is actually facing outwards towards the black side. It just keeps it consistent and it makes the texture of the fabrics nice at the seams. As you can see, I'm actually avoiding ironing down the sides of my txaij, and I'm just sticking to the middle here and ironing the seams where the black and blue meets. And that's because I want that part to be nice and flat before I iron the sides. So once that part is all nice and flat, now here's a tip. We're going to use a ruler to measure the black edges and make sure that they match up on each side. So I'm getting 3 inches on both sides here. And once it's even on both sides, then I'm going to go ahead and iron down the sides nice and flat. That will just keep my shade as close to perfect as possible so that you're not getting more black on one side than the other side. Now that we have it all ironed out nice and straight, we're actually going to flip it back inside out, and then we're going to close up the bottom of the shade. So I pinched the sides where we've already ironed, and I pinned those sides first, and then I pinned the center together. And so just a straight line across, about 1/2 inch seam. Once everything's all sewn, before you flip it back, we're going to cut away some of the excess fabric here in the corner, and then you're going to flip it inside out. And what that'll do is just to help you avoid very bulky corners. And then we're going to go ahead and iron that very bottom seam that we've just sewn so that it's nice and flat. Here's our completed shade. It's nice and straight, and I'm going to trim off the top here to prepare for adding a waistband. This is the bonus section, a very easy way to make a waistband. You can take any fabric. I like to use cotton, and this is 60 inches wide, and then I cut it 4 inches. So it's a 4-inch by 60-inch wide. Next, along the long edge, you want to fold it inwards about 1/4 to 1/2 inch, and then iron that down. And you do that to the other side as well. So you fold it in about 1/4 to 1/2 inch, and you also iron it down flat. And once you have it ironed down nice and flat, you want to fold over the edges so they meet. And then you iron again so that you have a nice flat waistband. And this creates a casing for where you can insert your shade. Here you can see my long waistband that I've ironed the whole thing. And then we're going to now open up the waistband, insert the shade into it, pin it down, and then you're going to start sewing from one end all the way across to the other end. And here you have the completed Hmoob Txaij with the blue center, and my waistbands are attached, and it looks nice and neat. Here's the completed shirt and shade. Click on the other videos so that you can see how to make the shirt. Thank you.